Oh hey, it's been a little while. I thought today I'd show you the process of this watercolor painting, A Peaceful Night, created and finished at least in January 2020. That was also when I recorded the footage for this, taken directly from a live Twitch stream. You can find me twitch.tv/NADraws. I usually try to stream about once or twice a week if I'm able to, but you know. So, what makes this piece so special? Well, for me, typically workflow is all at once, like a laser beam focus. So when I have a concept, I just make it. I'll work to sketch it out or thumbnail it. Maybe if I'm feeling, indecisive, I'll even do color tests, but typically I just start going at it. Either start the drawing and try to complete it in one go, or transfer the sketch over to nice paper and start going crazy with the watercolors. And what that means is, even though I get distracted easily, I can only do one piece at a time, one drawing at a time, one painting at a time. So if I put it down and don't pick it up either the next day or the day after, typically that means that drawing is just done, or just gonna stay incomplete, stay as a draft forever. I usually never revisit old sketches, unfinished paintings, because there's a reason I put it down. There must be. Which is silly. I've got a lot of unused concepts and thumbnails that I still really like about 3-4 years down the line that are just sitting in a drafts folder or in my sketchbook. And that's what makes this painting so unique to me. It's a little bit outside of that. Because originally I'd made the thumbnail for this in an old sketchbook in 2017, and in all honesty, I'm not even really sure what made me come back to this at the end of December 2019. But around that time, I guess I saw the sketch or remembered it or something like that, and decided, hey, let's finish this up. I've got my reference set up already. I have the thumbnail done. I know, in my head what this should kind of look like. So I made a more detailed sketch, transferred it over to watercolor paper, and knew eventually I really wanted to just finish this, complete this idea and make it happen. And I'm glad I stuck with it, even though I didn't start painting it again until January, and it took maybe a week or two probably, to get complete. I'm glad I did it. Took a couple weeks, partly because I'm a bit of a slow painter and drawer, just because, hesitation and trying to take my time to do the right kind of details is a good thing. But I also work full-time at a day job that is completely not art-related, and since that keeps me pretty busy along with other life stuff, art's been a little bit. But anyways, I planned ahead for this stream, and it was really fun to work on, actually. I had a really good, relaxing time. Most of my art streams, especially, are pretty quiet, partly because that's more my personality, just to kind of quietly focus and work, listen to music, maybe shoot the shit once in a while if somebody does stop by. But I had a few people who came into this chat, and we talked about painting in different materials and trying different styles, and it was really nice. I think that's one of the main things I miss about art at the public high school I went to, is being all in the same room, working on all totally different projects, and just talking to each other, asking for ideas or advice. It's kind of fun to work in a studio environment in that respect, so it's kind of nice to have that experience once in a while on Twitch too. So, shout out to the people who chatted with me that day. It was a I'd also like to say a small shout out to my mom. Actually, she was nice enough to let me photograph her in a couple of different positions, different ways of holding the mug, different lighting situations. We had a good window that kind of mimicked what I wanted. Yeah, just having that extra real life reference helped out with some of the finer details that I probably would have struggled a lot with had I just had to go completely from imagination, and piece together with some other pictures online for the material idea that I wanted for this person's like nightgown. I wanted something kind of silky and something you can kind of see through, but not too much. And then obviously a reference for the Luna moths to get their flight pattern and how kind of their wings are and how their actual pattern and color is versus just what I remember them being. So reference is always a good friend, and it's always helpful to sort of piece together your own bits and pieces that you photograph, either of yourself, somebody else you know, a place you've been to, and using, the magic of the internet to find stuff that you normally probably wouldn't be able to take pictures of. I don't think I used any reference of the moon, but I know my, shitty phone that's 7 years old or so now would have no way of capturing, the detail of all the cracks and crevices in the moon, so if I needed to, I could just Google it. But yeah, it's always good to use multiple references and just do your best to piece it together in a way that works. And I guess that's another thing that I really liked about this piece too, other than being fun to work on. It's fun to look at for me, and although there's not much detail in the background, and I feel like I probably could have drawn the hands a little bit bigger or fixed that forearm quite a bit now that I'm looking back on the footage a full year later. I still look at this and think this was a good time. I like the outcome. And I kind of like the subject matter too. Most of my drawings are portraits like along the lines of this, where, the focus is the person and the way I paint it and the mood. But that's what's different, is the mood of this one is quite a bit lighter than at the time and even beforehand. A lot of the other portraits I'd done, I really like moody, dark art, and I like making it, but it's always good to mix it up once in a while, Try kind of a different expression, different feeling, different color scheme even. I don't really like to use a lot of green unless I'm painting nature, and pink is a nice color in flesh tones in my opinion, but I never really use it as clothing, so it was, a lot of test running a few things that I don't normally do, and I think it was successful, and I think that's nice to be able to say a year later instead of, finally getting to the footage of this video and thinking, well, maybe the footage will never see the light of day because this painting is so terrible and there's so many things I could fix, but all in all, it's okay. It's good for what I made at the time and where I was, and I quite like it. And if you like what you see, I believe I still have prints up on my Redbubble store, or other merchandise as well, redbubble.com/people/NAdraws, all one word. I have a whole bunch of other designs for sale there as well. T-shirts, stickers are definitely my most popular seller, as well as prints. Tote bags, I think they're selling masks now. My parents have a couple and say they like them, so there's options galore. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this painting. A little info on the process, what kind of references I used, what kind of idea I had, and, you know, my time on Twitch. As always, I try to post my artwork on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr on a fairly regular basis, and I stream once or twice a week here on Twitch. Pretty much just whenever I can get some time away from work. But you know how it is. YouTube sure is a mystery, but I think I'm getting a little bit more consistent understanding of how to video edit and how to kind of piece things together and how I want things to work, which is good. Kind of nice to try to stretch my brain in a different way and in a different medium. Here's the part where you know it's really a finished painting, when you start peeling off the tape and then signing your signature. Just total satisfaction that, hey, I made it, I have this picture in my head and I put it on paper, and it's done, and I don't have to look at it again unless I want to. It's always very satisfying. I hope this video was interesting. I know it's a little bit longer than the last several I've done, but there's a lot going on here, I think, and kind of a lot I wanted to talk about and share with you. So hopefully you guys have a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, night, and maybe I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.